Hey guys, hitting you with a bit of a jump scare. I know, my ugly mug flashing straight up at the start, but I thought I would just come in just to say I'm trying something a little bit different this time. Instead of obviously just going for a singular platinum, I've gone for platinum on both Grand Theft Auto 3 Classic and Definitive Edition. And at the end of this, I will be giving you a short review on whether I feel either one's the preferable one to play on. You know, if you want to spend that little bit extra and try and get an account that's got Classic still on it, or if Definitive is the way forward. So, thank you for watching and stay tuned for the review later on. Right, and we jump straight away into Give Me Liberty on the Classic edition of GTA 3. So we're heading down Callahan Bridge now with 8-Ball to get into the hideout. And once we get to the hideout, 8-Ball gives us a change of clothing and we head off then to meet Luigi. Luigi instructs us to go and pick up one of his girls from the hospital, so we then jump into a car and do so. Yeah. So we drive over to the hospital, pick up Misty as Luigi instructed, and take her back to Luigi's club. This earns us the first trophy of the game, first day on the job, for Luigi's girls. There we go. After this, I then borrowed a taxi from one of the residents and began grinding out the 100 cab fares. This earned me the trophy, where to. And with the cab fares finished, I then went over to the hospital and acquired myself an ambulance. And after acquiring the ambulance, I started pretty much the perfect run you could ask for as a paramedic, where I didn't kill anyone, I promise. Oh, no. But after that terrible start, I did manage to actually complete the 12 levels of paramedic, earning myself the Playing Doctor trophy. And with both the taxi and ambulance missions out of the way, I then decided to jump into the nearest police car I could and start the vigilante missions. This is where I quickly learned that I sucked at vigilante missions. And after about 10 minutes of crying, I found out that you could actually pause the game, and this would make the person that you're chasing get out of the vehicle, which that made the vigilante missions 10 times easier, and made getting 1 to 15 an absolute breeze. So naturally, I did this until I earned the Going Rogue trophy. After this, I jumped into a fire truck and started the firefighter missions. I carried on these missions until I earned the Splish Splash trophy for extinguishing 20 fires on a single run. And with those 3 out of the way, I then started looking at Portland's rampages. These proved a little bit tricky to get used to at first, just due to the locking on system that was in the game. But I did manage to earn a trophy for Street Sweeper while doing this. But a lot of these rampages proved pretty simple, and I managed to complete a lot of them up until the actual rocket launcher one, which I had a little bit of a headache with. What if that dickhead then in front of me had a ducking done that? Not once but twice. For fuck's sake, and again. But as they say, third time is the charm. I then had the bright idea to start doing Patriot Playground. This was not the smartest idea from my part, because this game's controls combined with the gravity physics on the game itself, it just meant I failed it repeatedly, and I won't lie, this was absolutely miserable to play. I mean, look at this. This was just sheer bullshit. I'm not gonna lie. But after failing that one when I was so close to success, I managed to actually, not long after it, pass the mission. Oh, that's good to get that fucking thing out of the way. Jesus. At some point while doing the Patriot Playground, I unlocked the Reckless Driving trophy. I don't quite know why this one didn't capture, but even re-looking through my footage again, I can't find it. For which, to celebrate passing that mission, I took that sumbitch straight to the import-export garage.
Young man.
And after that stress, I then decided to have some fun playing some RC toy cars. I then did Mafia Massacre as well as Diablo's Destruction. Yeah, it's fairly straightforward. As long as you blow up at least one Mafia car, you pass the mission. So there was no stress with this whatsoever. I also managed to pull off some Tony Hawk style tricks with them. But with those 2 out of the way then, all I really had to do was start to slowly but surely check off the vehicle import list and the emergency vehicles to the crane in Portland Harbour. And once I managed to break the back of that, I then started looking at the hidden packages scattered all around Portland. These weren't too difficult to find. One or two were a little bit tricky though to actually get to, but it wasn't too bad. And once the hidden packages were out of the way, there was obviously only one real hurdle left to do, and that was the unique stunt jumps. There are 7 in total across Portland. As you can see, absolutely nailed it there with the landing. But apart from the train mishap, there wasn't really any other issues with these. These went pretty quickly, and surprisingly, considering how clanky the controls are with driving in this game. And with that done, I won't bore you with any of the actual main story missions, except for the parts I actually earn a trophy for. So I then started on Luigi's and Marty Chunk's missions. This is then the trophy where I earned the disposal of evidence for getting the car crushed during one of Marty Chunk's missions. I then began the Joey Leone and El Burro missions.
I've had my mouth sewn up, my hands chopped off. You name it, I've tried it.
Yeah, except for exercising and eating right, Porky.
Which during the first El Burro mission, I earned the By a Mile trophy. That's good. And during the final Joey Leone trophy, I earned the Dirty Money trophy for getting $1 million. I then quickly got through Tony's missions and started to work my way through Salvatore's missions.
He once hit me so hard my spleen fell out of my ear.
Which I always have good giggle at laughing at 8-Ball escaping the ship on Bomb the Base Part 2. But shortly after that, we finally get welcomed to Staunton Island, to which I earn the A Marked Man trophy for. I then jump into another fire truck and begin extinguishing another 20 fires on Staunton Island to help progress towards 100%. I then managed to find a trash master, so I quickly took that over to the import-export garage in Portland to get another one ticked off of the list. After that, I then follow up with the vigilante mission to do another 20 for 100%. And then I start looking at doing the hidden packages, which this one was a bit of a ball ache to get to, I'm not going to lie. And while doing the hidden packages, I managed to find a flatbed, which was quickly shoved into the garage in Portland once again. I then had a fight with my sanity with trying to get over this gate. I really should have just thought and gotten a Colombian cartel car rather than try and jump it with a van. I mean, I know I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but still, that was pretty dumb on my behalf. But still, I eventually got there, earned the package, and I then carried on with the hidden package collecting. At some point I did stumble across an enforcer, so I chucked that quickly to the import-export crane in Portland and carried on getting the last few hidden packages, which I then started the rampages. Now, I don't know whether it was just my luck with this one, but the police on this one were just silly. They were really, like, on my ass constantly on just this one rampage. And it's the one where you've got to destroy 8 vehicles around Staunton Park. Actually, I don't know, I couldn't breathe without the police just having me and busting me, as you can see. But once I managed to get through that one, the remainder of them were pretty straightforward, or at least that's what I thought, up until the sniper one. This was silly. I don't quite know why Rockstar thought this was a good idea to put something like this in. You know, the controls are really janky. You know, you've got to try and tap it. It just doesn't go right. Get a headshot with a sniper rifle. It's actually quite tricky. But after multiple failed attempts, which a lot of them I will put on here for you to see, I was really starting to lose my patience with it, and it was trying something fierce. Unfortunately, there was some kind of error with my capture card, which I didn't pick up on until editing. I did manage to fix it once I moved on to the definitive, though. But all I can say is, you know, the relief in my voice when I hit that one. That was just, oh, thank God. It was after this, the final rampage I had to do, I earned the Population Control Trophy. I then made a start on doing the unique stunt jumps once again, all throughout Staunton. There are only 4 of them, I believe, so it wasn't too bad. I did have a couple of wet moments, though. I then quickly moved on and did Staunton's only RC mission. That leaves one left in Shoreside Vale. And with Staunton's collectibles finished up, I then made my way starting with Asuka and King Courtney's missions.
My son's dog, Bugle, got hit by a truck, and he says, Mommy, Mommy, where's the reset button?
Where I earned a gift from a King trophy for completing King Courtney's. And after dealing with King Courtney's missions and that, I quickly got through Kenji's, Ray's, as well as Donald Love's and De-Ice's, because halfway through Donald Love's missions, I unlocked the next island.
And hopscotch.
Hopscotch? That's a girl's game.
Man, that ain't a girl's game, man. Not rugby hopscotch. Man, get me in a scrum and I'm dangerous.
And this is me earning the offshore delivery for completing a drop in the ocean mission. I then began to slowly check off all of the vehicles on the import-export list on the garage that is in Shoreside Vale.
I'll tell you,
This garage was actually a lot easier than the one in Portland. It was then, whilst driving around in Staunton, I found the Holy Grail. The one thing that had been eluding me in Portland, the bus. So naturally that went straight into the Portland docks, leaving me with only the Dodo to find. I then began doing the hidden packages around Portland. These were pretty straightforward yet again, apart from the very sneakily hidden package that is on Shorevale Bridge. Upon collecting this, I earned the Liberty City Secrets trophy as well as the Right Hand Man trophy, which came as a nice little surprise. As you can see, I was in the process of taking the Dodo to Portland, which I did have a very scary moment where the Dodo decided to take off on Callahan Bridge, which I did crash into a building, but I managed to nail it and pull it back. My heart was in my throat for a moment there, though, as I did think I had to redrive this thing from the third island to the first all over again. But I safely got it to the garage and then completed the Portland Harbour import-export list. Due to me completing both, this earned me the Play Fetch trophy. I then, with about as much grace as Evil Knievel, completed all of the stunt jumps around Shoreside Vale. And on the final jump, I earned the Wheels Up trophy. And this is where I run into probably the biggest pain in the ass trophy for me on the entire classical run, Gripped. This mission was atrocious. I was smashing my head up against brick wall constantly with the amount of fails I did on this. You know, including the next one now where I only had 3 packages remaining and I managed to flip my vehicle. I wanted to put my fist through something so badly at that point, but not long after that I did manage to actually finish it up, and it was the sweetest feeling known to man when I earned that where we're going, we don't need roads trophy. It was so nice. I then finished up the RC missions in Shoreside Vale. This earned me the Man Toys trophy. I then decided to hunt down the FBI car, which was a massive mistake. This was quite an annoying task to do, but in doing so I did earn the trophy hunting season for blowing up multiple helicopters. But eventually I did manage to get myself an FBI car, get it into the safe house, and get my wanted level down. So I got that straight over to the crane in Portland, and leaving only 2 more vehicles for that. I then made my way through completing all of the rampages across Shoreside Vale, which is certainly the Blood in the Streets trophy. And with that, all of the collectibles throughout Liberty City have completed, so I started making my way through the last remaining missions. This is the final mission. I will say this was an incredibly cheesy way of getting it. I was really quite proud of myself. I was dodging the actual fan, just popped up there straight away with a bazooka, bang. So it was just a case of quickly popping off a couple of Colombians to rescue Maria and taking her up to the top of the dam to shoot her myself. And doing so earned me the Not So Fast trophy. So I quickly took the tank over to the crane, and this was the final vehicle that I needed, which earned me the Pest Control trophy. And after a few minutes of sheer panic, I realised I had to go and actually view the vehicles on both to earn the Is That All You've Got for 100%ing the classic version of GTA 3. After that then, it was a simple case of blowing up 2,000 cars, which I did by acquiring another Rhino tank and just basically going on a rampage till I got 5 stars and the FBI started chasing me. This resulted in the FBI just constantly ramming into the tank. This did have some flaws, which was predominantly my own fault because I let the yardies get aggressive towards me and they kept pulling me out the tank when I was in that area, but as a whole this was probably the fastest method I could think of. This then earned me the "if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying" trophy. I then used the money cheat just to get the last couple of points on my criminal rating to get like a boss. It was then just a case of kicking the hornet's nest to make the police come after me to get busted a few more times to earn the repeat offender trophy. And the King of Liberty City. And then we take it from the top. It feels like yesterday I was in this. Now, before we get started, I just want to point out that at first I did this without any of the updates. No day one patch, anything like that. This was vanilla. So I started off straight away onto the Callahan Bridge, as we do in the game. But, unlike on the first one, this time I spot straight away a security van. So, as any good GTA player does, I grab it and take it straight to the import-export.
Well, that's not bad first.
And then after I made my way back from actually dropping the security car off, I spotted in the distance a trash master. Now, at this point I was thinking, my god, I'm incredibly lucky here.
That is a trash master.
What are the odds of this? So obviously that then ends up going straight to the import-export. Then I finally get in the car with 8-Ball and head off. But then while heading off, I spotted Mr. Whoopi van. Be rude not to take that to the import-export as well. So obviously that goes in and the list is starting to actually look pretty healthy now. So then I get back into the actual car, take off, go around, and there's a flatbed. I've got to grab that then. So obviously that naturally has to go import-export. So at this point either definitive is I'm off to a really lucky start with this, or they've actually increased the spawn rates for the vehicles, which is good. So then obviously I head off, meet Luigi, complete the mission Luigi's Girls, same as past time, first day on the job. And then I start the taxi driver missions again to earn 100 fares. But the obviously difference now with this one was during one of the fares, I ran into a bus. That thing eluded me for so long in the classic. It was ridiculous.
Looking very healthy already. All of those.
But yes, no, I say then I do the taxi driver missions and take a short break to update the game. And straight away you can see there is a noticeable difference in the textures and the appearance of the cars. I say it looks a lot better, I think. I do quite like the reflective surfaces and stuff like that. But yes, I then earned the Where To trophy after completing the 100 fares. I then obviously tried my hand at vigilante missions, which I realised I still suck at these missions. So after that, I then thought I will try and get the hidden packages to allow me to unlock the Uzi. So I started collecting all 33 of those before jumping in and realising that I still actually suck at vigilante. Now, I thought potentially did they patch this out at a later date, so I restarted the game and tried to put my save in. Now, this happened. I don't quite know what went on, but the game just completely glitched out and this was all I could see for a while. I believe I turned the bloom off and that eventually gave it back, but this was like really quite trippy and unusual.
Play this.
And after numerous failed attempts, I admitted defeat and just waited until I unlocked the Rhino for this. Whilst doing this, though, I did earn the Reckless Driving trophy. So then I got straight back on and started with the paramedic missions, for which I earned the Playing Doctor trophy again. And immediately started with the firefighter thereafter, to which I earned the Splish Splash again. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to record this as I'd forgotten to press record. But this is me unlocking the trophy via the PlayStation. I then took on the stunt jumps with the grace of a swallow with 2 broken wings.
Fuck's sake.
I didn't let that persuade me though. I carried on and got the 7 stunt jumps done throughout Portland. And it was after this I then decided to lower my health to below 10 HPs, which I earned the Liberty City Minute for staying 1 minute under 10 HP. I then proceeded to take on Portland's rampages. This was a lot easier than in the classic due to the free aim. I also yet again earned the Street Sweeper trophy. And then somehow I managed to actually earn the right-hand man trophy at this point as well, which is a lot earlier than what I actually earned it during the Classic. Seriously? I also didn't have any bazooka mishaps this time around during the rampages. I then took on both the RC missions as well, and then what I was dreading the most on Portland, Patriot Playground. This took a couple of goes. I did have a couple of funky moments where, like this, I fell in the water. But after a few attempts, I did manage to actually squeak it out. It was incredibly close, though. As you can see, I only had less than 10 seconds on the clock, and I just literally had to gun it and hope for the best. And luckily, I just, with 2 seconds left, managed to pass the mission. I then started chipping away at the import and export list until that looked relatively healthy, and with only 2 vehicles remaining, I started the story missions again, which I earned actually a few more achievements this time.
Well, you know, you'd have an attitude too if you couldn't reach the friggin' cheesy swirls.
Once again, the Marty Chunks mission earned me the disposing of evidence. But I also earned the trophy, got this figured out, for dropping all the prostitutes off at once during the mission Fuzzball. I yet again got on with Joey's and El Burrows missions.
Pigeons are good too. Sometimes they come with notes attached, just like a fortune cookie with wings.
But I also earned the trophy without a scratch for delivering the car without a scratch, as well as planned ahead for taking out Chunky Lee Chong with a car bomb. I then found the final vehicle for the import-export list and quickly finished off El Burrows' mission Turismo, earning the Buy a Mile trophy. And just like that, I was on to the final sets of missions for Portland.
Tony? How'd you know my name was Tony? You tracing this call? 'Cause if you are, you're gonna get real intimately acquainted with...
Where I earned one of the final missable trophies, Mob Boss. Nice. Then proceeded to have a giggle again at 8 Ball, running like an idiot on the boat.
Always makes me giggle as well.
And at the end of this, I earned dirty money. Dirty money. And just like that, I make it to Staunton Island, and the Unmarked Man trophy is mine. So I quickly found a police car, began the vigilante missions, and got the 20 of those in Staunton out of the way for 100%. And did the same for the firefighter missions. I then quickly finished off the 2 off-road missions in Staunton Island. And then made short work of the 4 stunt jumps around the island. Did it. I then got all the hidden packages collected for Staunton, which this in turn had some nightmare ones, a bit like that one just seen at the bridge where you get attacked by the Colombians. I then went on to do the rampages throughout Staunton. These were pretty straightforward, and there wasn't actually any real issues, especially when it went to the decapitating 17 yardies. This, you know, as you can see, the controllers were a lot more smoother, and I think the hitbox as well for headshots are a lot more forgiving in this than it was in the Classic. So I managed to do this in one go. I then ran over to Portland, grabbed a BF injector and a few cars to store for missions, and started my way through the actual Staunton Island missions.
I tell you, I didn't do 2 tours and take boomerang shrapnel in my head so I could come back here and have a bunch of hippies deny history.
Doing these, I managed to earn the Full Artillery trophy as well. This was for using every weapon in the game. The mission, A Drop in the Ocean by Donald Love, proved to be a right mare for me. I had issues like this constantly where the FBI would just run over me and say, "Get there, please." So I just have to lay there and take it. And these issues persisted a number of times, really, as well. It was a headache. Eventually, I did try the other dock, and that seemed, for some reason, just be dead, so I took my chance and made a run for it. As you can see here, there's no one there. Luckily, I've got my car still there, didn't despawn. Good shout. So I could just jump in and go. I did see online that a lot of the guides showed 4-star, but for some reason I had 5. I don't know whether that was partly why it was such an issue. But after this, I managed to get in there and earn the trophy for offshore delivery. I then took the Dodo over to the import-export without any flying issues like on Classic. I then started making my way through Shoreside Vale's rampages. And as you can see with these as well, once again, I didn't really have any issues. I think I might have had to redo the sniper one once. During this, I also managed to earn the Escape Artist trophy for using bribes, and then I made my way onto the import-export list from Shoreside Vale. And once I managed to get the list looking pretty healthy in Shoreside Vale with only the BF injector left to get, I took a quick trip over to Staunton to grab it. So I quickly threw that into the Shoreside Vale garage and left me with only the emergency crane in Portland left to do.
Yeah, it's got to be the crane as well.
I then took on the remaining RC missions to earn the Man Toys trophy. And then I made a start on the hidden packages throughout Shoreside Vale. And once I'd managed to collect all these, I earned the trophy Liberty City Secret.
Nice.
I then took to the skies like a seagull on crack and finished off the remaining unique stunt jumps. A lot of these ended in piss poor results where I ended up totaling the vehicle, but I say ultimately I did most of these first try. I think I had to redo that one twice.
Most of the left, huh?
Yeah, there we go. That's exactly why. As I completely whiffed that one. But after doing the final one, I earned the trophy Wheels Up, which I actually managed to nail the landing on this one.
Hey.
After this, I got myself a police car and began doing the 20 kills across Shoreside Vale to finish off the 100%. I did get somewhat close to getting the 15. I think I got up to 12 at one point on Shoreside, but I managed to flip the vehicle and blow it up, so I began firefighting again and got the 20 across that. Even though it's quite a big, clumsy vehicle, it was actually quite a breath of fresh air when I did these. Quite relaxing, because you always knew it was an easy one shot. And then obviously when I got the final one, I earned the Furious Fast Responder trophy. I then did anything but something that was nice and relaxing with getting the FBI car. That was the first initial bullshit. I then had obviously flashbacks of a drop in the ocean with added police ramming. And this went on for a little while until I eventually got it back safely to the crane. And with only the Rhino left to get on that crane, I started working towards the Come Out and Play Yay trophy, which this is to kill 20 gang members with a melee item.
Yeah.
And with most of it mopped up, I then made my way working towards the final few missions.
Everyone knows women are made from sand.
I then made light work of the final mission with a rocket launcher and a sniper rifle, which this then gave me the not-so-fast trophy. With this completed, I only had 3 more trophies to get, the hardest being the Going Rogue trophy, which has plagued me for so long. As you can see here, I took the tank for this one, and I got incredibly close to it. I got 12 out of the 15 needed for it, but unfortunately, I just lost it. So I ended up running over to Portland and doing it where I got the Going Rogue on my first attempt with the tank. And with that out of the way, all I had to do was the Kingdom Come mission by King Courtney. This earned me a gift from a king trophy for completing the mission. I then got the Is That All You've Got for getting 100% in GTA 3. And then finally, King of Liberty City was unlocked. I've done the Platinum now on both the Classic and Definitive Edition. I've always loved GTA. Ever since I was a kid, when my brother first brought home a copy of GTA 1 for the PS1, it's always captivated my attention. And I remember as well, 2003, I think it was, when GTA 3 came out for the PS2, and sitting there, excited, get into my PS2 and play GTA 3 for the first time and being captivated by the characters and that sense of atmosphere from the game. It's always just, it's fond memories that will never leave me. I say, those characters, I can never get bored of. Same with the radio, really, which I say, it is a tragedy that Vice City and San Andreas both suffered with a lot of track removals from the radios, but I will say I'm very glad that GTA 3 remained untouched. There's a couple of one-liners in that I did think potentially in today's standards wouldn't be in there, but I'm glad they kept it as a whole, as to me, that was GTA. It always has been, that tongue-in-cheek comedy. With that being said, I've now got both the Classic and the Definitive Edition completed. Honestly, the difference between the two is quite large. There is good and there is bad points to both of those. The original the PS2 classic version does have a certain charm to it. It still retains that element of grit that's been pretty much lost in the definitive edition with the upgrades, the graphics, which I think looks a little bit more cartoony. But still, with the classic port, there is issues where I think the draw distance does play a big part, as there was a couple of times where I was driving down, particularly in Staunton, and I'd see vehicles just disappearing through buildings, which I can only assume is how the game was loading out cars and stuff like that, where they just drive off into the distance and that's it, done. But where it's obviously got a lot higher draw distance on the PS5, you could see it all. You could see how the meat and potatoes were going with that, how the machine worked. Even with those issues with the classic edition, it did retain a certain grittiness to it. And I said, I do miss that kind of atmosphere. But I will give the definitive edition its flowers. It does have a lot more fuller world with a lot more different vehicles spawning, a lot more different pedestrians walking around. The streets feel fuller with both vehicles and pedestrians, which it gives it this kind of sense of a living, breathing city, a lot more than the ghost town that I felt Liberty City was in the classic edition. Looking at the bugs in the game, both classic and definitive did have their moments. Some were bizarre vehicle behaviours, as I say, with going in and out of buildings, whilst the definitive edition did have a lot of noticeable things, a bit like cars driving across Shoreside Vale Bridge when the bridge was up. They were just floating there and then they just pop on the other side. Then there was obviously the issue I had where I tried restarting the game, which I was probably my own fault, where I was trying to cheese the vigilante missions, but that was game breaking at the end of the day, and that was really bad. You could not really make out anything with the picture. I'm trying to think of another one now. There was a couple of times when I'd be driving through Staunton and there'd be like a banshee spawned halfway into a taxi, which was some like kind of mutated thing, like from The Thing. I was expecting it to have to do a blood test or something soon with that. I don't really like whipping it out and look at me, laddie-da. But I have spent 50 hours now on GTA 3. 27 hours on Classic, 23 hours on Definitive. But I can safely say both have their place. If you want to experience GTA in its purest with, the hair-pulling steering, as well as the frustrating aiming in the game, then the Classic version is for you, 100%. But the aiming and the steering is atrocious, as well as the fact that the cars can't bump into a wet paper bag without exploding. There is also issues with like certain missions that were just unfairly written, like they're scripted. A bit like the Donald Love decoy mission. That was really unfair that I feel the military was in. You had to try and survive for 5 minutes with tanks driving around and it being absolute chaos. This is where really the definitive edition shines, I think. The controls have been redone, a lot more smoother to control the sniper rifle. I had so much issues with, the Yardy headshot one in the classic edition. Well, I did it first go on definitive, just because it was easier. It wasn't as clunky with the thumbsticks. Decoy as well is another good instance of that, where they've taken away the army element to it, and it's just the FBI spawn at quite a, I don't want to say larger rate, because it did, it was only like maybe 1 or 2 more cars, so it wasn't enough to really be like noteworthy of it. It was a massive amount, but there was a certain element that it did increase the spawn rate of these cars. I did cheese it and just hid under a bridge, but that was after completing the classic edition, where I was just like, I'm done. I don't want to do this mission again. Like what I did with my previous video, I will at the end give a quick rundown of how I experienced the platinum run itself. Obviously, with this being a little bit different and it being 2 platinums in one, I will give a quick rundown of both. Obviously, the classic, I will say, was probably a lot more tricky due to the controls and the handling of vehicles, and the vehicles being so weak to any form of damage. I say you only have to bump into a wall twice and it'd be virtually on fire. While that being said, GTA 3 is a timeless classic. I still find myself, I want to jump on it and play it. I want to go and, jump onto Luigi's, strip club roof and go around on a rampage, like I used to when I was like 12. I say, as a whole, though, on a platinum hunt, it was really fun. I enjoyed it. I say, it took a total of 50 hours for both games. They weren't that tricky. I'd probably say 3 out of 10, maybe, for, getting the platinum. And I say, I walked away not disappointed and not feeling like I'd wasted time. I walked away feeling a sense of accomplishment, and I was happy. I appreciated my time in Liberty City, and I honestly I can't wait to go back there at some point. So I'm going to leave it at that, and I just want to say thank you for watching. If you want to see more like this, give a comment saying so. I'm more than happy to have a look at Vice City next, as long as people want that. And I say, give me a thumbs up, give me a subscribe. Thank you guys. Have a good one.